and boom. And then that what we see Tusitala do so well. He jumps out and threatens the line, and then Robinson plays off the back of that. Like you said, heads up rugby. Let's bring the man in himself. Let's hear it from the.
All right, that's cool. Let's do that.
Let's bring Tusitala, Danny Tusitala, into the show. He was voted player of the week for week 1. So without further ado, Old Glory scrum half himself, Danny Tusitala.
He was quite physical, I guess, especially coming off a couple of months of no footy. Couldn't have asked for a better start to the season, playing a team like NOLA, who are renowned for their physicality, and I guess they're big boys on the park. So we knew as a group that it was going to be a challenge, and obviously preparation wasn't the best, but we knew we had to just front up and just go out there and enjoy ourselves and play a bit of footy. Body was sore, definitely feeling it after 80 minutes. So I guess it was a bit of mixture. I guess we were told, I think it was a Wednesday, we were out having dinner, and I remember we watched the news, and then we just seen the OKC game, and I don't know if it was the Utah Jazz or some game got cancelled, and then obviously the whole NBA got shut down on that Wednesday. Then Thursday morning we got a text saying we had to come into the office, and then they told us obviously the season was being postponed for the next 30 days. And then I didn't tell anyone. I just spoke to the owners and coach and said if I could just go home for the next couple of weeks and I'll be back. Thinking the season was going to carry on after the 30-day ban. And I flew home on the Friday, so probably straight away, flew home with just my backpack and not much clothes with me. And yeah, because I had the mindset I was coming back straight away.
Yeah.
So I flew home and obviously got to New Zealand, and then, I guess the rest is history. Obviously we went into lockdown 2 weeks after I had arrived in New Zealand. And then obviously things over here in the US started to close down. And yeah, so poor old, Dougie and the management pump and the boys had to, clear my house, grab all my stuff, all my clothes, and, it was pretty tough for them. So I think we had about 7 or 8 weeks in lockdown in New Zealand, where I just trained with my younger siblings and my family, and we just did family trainings and things like that. And then as soon as we came out of lockdown, we went straight back into club footy. So with my club, Ponsonby Rugby in Auckland, and then obviously with the Auckland Mighty 10 Cup squad, we had a few programs running. At the time, there was still a little bit of restrictions around, numbers and group trainings, and it was still a challenge. But I guess we're quite lucky in the sense that we could actually meet in a big group of big bubble of 50 or 100. So it kind of varied every week. But we got there in the end where we could fully train with the team. All 40 or 30 of us, and it was quite hard. You do all the work during the lockdown, but it's a lot different when you're coming in, into the team environment, and you're having to compete with others who have been working just as hard as you, or if not harder. And it was quite funny because you come in after lockdown and you just see everyone's in the best shape of their life. I think the lockdown was quite beneficial for a lot of players that they weren't quite consistent in training, because there was nothing else you could do in lockdown. There was no malls open. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't really go to the park unless you were going to do exercise. So I guess people finally decided, I could use this opportunity to get better or better myself and start getting fit. So I think I remember going into our first, I think it was the yo-yo testing. And I thought I put in the work, and then I got there and I seen a group go before me and they hit high numbers, and I was like, flip. I don't think I put in enough work. And so I was quite nervous, and I was like, oh man. And then so I did the test, and I obviously wasn't happy with myself, because I was like, flip, there's other guys here that are training better than me, and I feel usually I'm better than them. So it was interesting. Some boys came out of lockdown man, they were gearing up for the Olympics or something. So there's definitely there's definitely a lot of interest from players that are in the Mighty 10 Cup, not quite in the Super Rugby, but are looking for an overseas opportunity to play rugby full time. Because I think the toughest thing in New Zealand that a lot of young players coming through and aspiring to be professional athletes and professional rugby players is having the opportunity. And with how I guess New Zealand Rugby is working right now with the Super Rugby Aotearoa, only 5 teams. That's only 5 opportunities that I guess players can make a team. So I guess a lot of players are seeing the US as an opportunity not only to play professionally, but also experience the lifestyle here in the US.
With the new law interpretation of the scrum half not being able to come forward beyond the center line of the scrum, every team should have their number 8 be passing, right? Because it allows your 9 to then be an extra player. Now there's no
extra
pressure,
player, yep.
right? The 8 should be able to pass, and Jameson did that a couple of times really effectively. And by the way, now you can run 89s both ways, where it used to be you can only run 89s to the right. Now you can run them to the left, right? So there's lots of ways that your 8 can be moved. So I thought he did some really good things at the base of the scrum because they were under pressure, right? I thought Nola had the edge in the scrum, but this guy defensively, I'm gonna talk about his stats. So he had 15 tackles made and he missed 1, and on his own he had 3 turnovers.
Let's jump into this week's New York at the gold mine. Who you got?
I feel like, on the game, on the podcast last week, I picked against a lot of winners. So I think that, I'm going to go with Nola at home. I think that's the difference. I think New York's traveling again. I think that makes a difference in terms of recovery and prep. I think New York did some really good things in that game, but I think Nola's going to pull this out. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think this game is going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be pretty scrappy. I think we'll see a couple of line out drives, but I think Nola wins this 25-21.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you. I think it's going to be tight. We'll see. Damien Stevens starts at 9. I'm a little bit more confident Nola can win this. New York, though, I picked New York last week. They're tough.
That was a gutsy call. They were tough. And that was a gutsy call that you had.
It was right. So, but I think the draw, going back and watching that NOLA DC game again, they were 2 really good teams. I think the draw was probably fair for both of them with how they both performed. So I'll go NOLA again at home. Just the fact that it's home. That crowd actually sounded like they were getting pretty pumped up.
Yeah,
so
they did.
Good to see fans.
Yeah, it's good to see fans in there. And let's get on to what I think might be the matchup of the weekend, right? Which is
ATL at DC.
Yeah.
Jacob Field gets christened. We heard Danny mention that they're excited to get out to their new field there. And they're allowed fans out there as well. So I'm not sure on sales. Last I heard, they're actually pretty close to their COVID capacity for this opening game, which is great because there was a little bit of concern, right? You move locations, there's a fan.
They're out of town.
Yep, yeah. They're following. So they're I believe at capacity for this game, which will be a great atmosphere. The last game I did there was this exact same matchup, and it was great atmosphere. So I'll go first on this one. I'm going to say Old Glory. I think they have a week of training. I don't know how banged up ATL are from that game, but I've got to go back and watch it. I did a game at the exact same time. I was talking to James Patterson, who did this game. He said it was a pretty tough game.
Yeah, no, it was a
Harley Davidson got dinged
true.
Pretty bad. So I know, actually, we just got an update. If you watched MLR Access today, Stacey Pates updated everyone that Harley is okay. But he's going to be out.
Right.
There's no way that he's not going into the protocol for a couple of weeks on that one. It was an unfortunate event. But yeah, I'll have to see the ATL roster before I really pull the trigger on this one. Kurt Coleman out for the year. Didn't play.
Yeah, that's a big loss.
Yeah, so they're kind of. Van Skolkvik goes into 10, and I know he's played there, but that's
that's where
juggling
he
act
played
now.
His college career, right? I mean, he didn't really play much nine until he was selected for the Eagles. So
yeah, MLR ball and college ball, the gap is just so vast now. So, but anyway, I'll go DC unless there's something significant on the rosters there as well.
So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with DC. I think this will be. I feel like Atlanta are going to. It's a tough one because I feel like Atlanta might be under pressure the set piece of DC. DC weren't very good in the scrums. They struggled a little bit in the lineouts, but they're really opportunistic. So Atlanta have to make sure that they're really accurate. Can't have those turnovers. Can't give them those plays. I think Atlanta will kick more, so I think we'll see that back 3 tested. They'll play a little bit more territory.
Yep.
This will be I think it's a really close game. I think it's a toss-up, which is why I think it's the game up of the week. So can I choose? I'm not going to choose a tie, but I'll say Atlanta wins by 1.
All right, New England at Houston. Houston come off a win. New England from a loss, back on the road.
Well, I mean, are we going to go with Houston's tradition of winning the first game and then going on a losing streak?
And losing 5 in a
They've
row.
done for the last 2 years?
They hope not.
So New England, Houston, I thought New England kind of held their own for a while against the Giltinis, and the Giltinis looked pretty good. So
I think the cards caught up with them too. The red card of Johnny Poland did definitely help.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, it's, that was hard. So I actually think New England looked good. I thought that, Houston, the Houston-Seattle game, like I think we said, seemed like a preseason game. I don't think Houston looked at their best. I think they missed DeWitt at scrum half. So some of this is like, what's the roster look like? But I think New England will keep the tradition of Houston going, and they'll put away in that game, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. They're still waiting for Terra Matembu and Jack Ram to come into that squad. I think when they get into that forward pack too, New England will be able to play
that'll be
the
a big
ball
help,
like they want to play. So that one's going to be a roster one. I'll go against you just because my main man, Sammy Windsor. I think they'll upset them on the road there. It's a tough trip from Boston to LA, back to Boston, then down to Houston, and it'll be hot down there again.
Yep.
So, right.